Adobe's just added a new tool to help you refine the edges on the auto masks inside of Camera Raw, but it doesn't always work perfectly. I'm going to show you how to use it, but then I'm also going to show you what to do when that edge cleanup doesn't work, how to get a perfect edge every time. Alright, I'm going to show you this new feature which helps us with masking edges inside of Camera Raw. Now you might have seen other tutorials on this, so I'm going to make this one a little bit different. We'll go a little deeper into this, and I'll show you how to even further refine some of these edges. Alright, so first thing we want to do is just open this into Camera Raw. It's a raw file that I've got here, so I can just double click. Otherwise you could just choose the filter, Camera Raw filter, and that'll get you to the same place. So first thing I want to do is I want to create some masks. So we're going to go to the mask, and then under mask, let's just use landscape mask. So this is going to select the different features within the image. Let's just select our sky. Let's just select them all. And then we're going to create 5 separate masks. Okay, let's look at the problem that we have. We're going to start with this bridge. So when we go to the architecture, and right now those edges look sort of fine. We've missed some little pieces here, and we'll look at that in a moment as well. But the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to take this exposure and I'm going to turn it up way brighter than what I would need to. And then I'm just going to choose 100. And by the way, you can choose your magnification here. I'm going to choose 100, or you can just click there. The problem is, see that edge on the bridge. And this is a problem we've had for a long time. So we're going to look at trees in just a moment, but see how we've got a smooth, hard edge, which is not a smooth, hard edge. In fact, if we want to view it better, we can turn on the overlay, and we can change that overlay to black and white. And notice it's very, very rough. Once again, like stenciled paint. We want to smoothen that edge off, because as we make those adjustments, it's going to affect that edge. And so the new feature that's been added, and the interesting thing is it's just in Camera Raw right now, it's not in Lightroom. And that's not unusual, because a lot of the time they develop features first inside of Camera Raw, and we've seen this happen before because Camera Raw and Lightroom share the same processing engine. Alright, so let's have a look at this edge. All I need to do is take this edge and just touch it. And notice immediately it cleans it up. So how does this work? It actually works the same way as channels inside of Photoshop. It's a technique we would call choking the mask. So choking the mask is, as we move it to the left, it shrinks down that mask. Once again, normally we do this in channels, in an alpha channel in Photoshop. Or if we go the other way, it will expand the mask. And if you want to see that against the image, color overlay, you can see it. See how that edge expands or contracts? So that's all we're doing, is we're just contracting or expanding the edge. One of the interesting things, though, if we go back to the white on black and I double click to reset this, is all I got to do is just barely touch it. See the edge here? See how rough it is where my mouse is? Barely touch it, and boom. Immediately it cleans up these smooth edges, so it doesn't need much. Now I'm going to turn the overlay off because we want to see the image. Notice it's still a little too large. See how it's going out over the top? So we can take that edge and we can shrink it down till it's exactly where we want it. Now obviously we're not going to turn the exposure up this high on the bridge, but what we're doing is we're revealing the problem, so when we make our adjustment, then it's going to be more precise in the areas that are not so easily seen. Now, the bridge itself is not fully selected. Let's turn the overlay back on, and we can see its missed parts. Let's go back to our color overlay, and it's really up to you how much you want to refine these. This part here obviously needs to be included. So the fastest way to do that is to go to that mask, which is architecture. And this is the mask showing. This is the auto mask or the AI mask right here. What we want to do is we want to add to that selection. And I'm going to add a select objects. Now I can select these objects. I have 2 ways of doing it. We can use the brush or we can use the marquee. I'm going to use the brush. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint over this area. I'm just going around here, and what it's going to do is it's going to tell Camera Raw, hey, I want this area to be included. So we're just painting it over, and see how now it starts to detect it, because it's starting to understand, oh, this is what he wants to select. And see how we can add those areas. And notice it will punch right in here. Now we could remove these other areas that we don't want by holding down the Alt or the Option key and saying, hey, I don't want these areas. And it could remove them. So you could go through and refine this as much as you want. I'm not going to take the time to do that right now. We're going to choose back on Fit. All right, so watch this. So now I can turn that overlay off, double click to reset, and now I can make a much more subtle adjustment. And I might only want to increase the exposure that much. And I'm going to increase the shadows a little bit. So all I'm trying to do is just pop a little bit of detail and not just go completely wild on this. The other thing I might do, which is harder to see, is I'm going to do the texture. But now that we've selected that area, we can easily adjust that texture without worrying that we're going over the edge, because we've set a much better edge. All right, so this is using the bridge with a smooth edge. What about more difficult edges like the trees? Now let's look at the vegetation. Zoom into 100 and notice these edges. Now, I can go in here and I can change these edges by fine-tuning them here, but notice it's not really getting exactly what we want. And the reason for that is it hasn't selected in between all these leaves. So here's the trick. We're going to set this back to 0, and notice we get these rough edges. We'll get rid of those in a sec. But here's the trick. We're going to go under vegetation. We're going to choose subtract. We're going to grab our brush, turn auto mask on. This inner circle with the minus, we need it to select the sky only. We don't want this to touch the tree. If it touches the tree, it's going to erase the tree. But if we go around here, look at this. See how we can clean up those edges. Being careful not to ever let that minus go in. So what it's doing is we're using the eraser and the edge detection on the eraser to help us create better edges. Well, let's just move over here quickly. So it might not be perfect over here because I just want to get this done quick. See how you can even get into these tiny little spots there. All right, so now we've set those edges. Let's even try that one. Whew, we got in there. That's pretty accurate. All right, so why don't we change this now to black and white? So we can see our trees are looking a lot better. So now we can go in here and we can take that edge and just give it a little touch to say -1. And if we turn the overlay off, now we should get really good adjustments there. Let's zoom out on the image. Now, obviously, it's brightening up other parts. If we didn't want those included in the image, we could just use the minus brush. So let me just clean this up a little bit more. I'm going to use the eraser tool to get rid of this. I think it's something moving through the scene. And when we're done, just click OK. It updates in Photoshop, and then we've got these edges. You know, we could fix those, or the easiest thing to do in this case is nothing important in those corners. We could just crop this image down. And just for a little fun, I'll do some dodging and burning, but I'll speed it up so you don't have to watch the whole thing, but you can see the process and see what the final result looks like. And here's before and after. And there's our final image. So I hope you found this tutorial useful. If you did, let me know in the comments underneath. And if you want to know how I dodged and burned at the end of this, check out this tutorial right here that I recently dropped on dodging and burning in Lightroom. Works exactly the same in Camera Raw. By the way, if you're new, welcome to the cafe. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, you won't miss any of my tutorials. And by the way, written steps are on the website at photoshopcafe.com. And until next time, I'll see you at the cafe.